Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Nebraska's busy severe weather season continued with another round of storms on Tuesday. This video was taken in Holdridge Tuesday evening, where wind gusts over 60 miles per hour were measured. Dozens of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings were issued Tuesday afternoon and evening. There was a report of a tornado touching down northwest of Broken Bow just before 6 p.m. No word of any damage there. Heavy winds did cause damage, though, in southern Nebraska, with emergency managers reporting flipped pivots, toppled trees, and severe crop damage southwest of Kearney. Storms also produced large hailstones west of Ainsworth Tuesday afternoon. In other news, a 25-year-old man killed in a fiery crash. It happened north of Rushville over the weekend. Sheridan County Sheriff Jeff Brewer says the SUV rolled several times before catching fire. Brewer says the crash has been difficult to investigate because of the fire. This after News Channel Nebraska reported earlier this week that the Department of Transportation issued an urgent alert following a spike in deadly crashes of late. 19 people died traveling on roads in the state throughout last month. A man, meanwhile, injured after being hit by lightning in northwest Nebraska. Sheridan County officials tell us the man was sitting in a vehicle north of the town of Rushville on Monday when he was struck by lightning. The man airlifted to a larger hospital because of the extent of his injuries, although authorities tell us he is expected to survive. In national news, we're now halfway through the Republican National Convention. Wednesday, we expect to hear for the first time from former President Donald Trump's newly named running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, who will formally accept the nomination for vice president. Ivan Rodriguez is in Milwaukee with the latest.
In a show of party unity, former GOP presidential candidates coming together on night 2 of the Republican National Convention to rally behind their nominee.
Let's send Joe Biden back to his basement, and let's send Donald Trump back to the White House.
Donald Trump is the president who will actually unite this country.
Nikki Haley, Trump's fiercest primary rival, now offering a full-throated endorsement, encouraging her supporters to get on board.
You don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for him. Take it from me, for the sake of our nation, we have to go with Donald Trump.
Tuesday's theme, Make America Safe Once Again, focused on signature Trump issues, law enforcement, crime, and immigration.
We can't survive the dramatic increases in violence, crime, and drugs that the Democrats' policies have brought upon our communities.
Tonight, the convention turns its attention to foreign affairs, including the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza.
Between Israel and Hamas, Donald Trump is clear about who is our friend and who is our enemy.
The party will also hear from Ohio Senator J.D. Vance for the first time since becoming the vice presidential nominee.
J.D. Vance reminds us we are all descendants of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary things.
In Milwaukee, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Meanwhile, public school advocates believe they have enough signatures to ask Nebraska voters in November to repeal a private school tuition funding law. But the group called Support Our Schools says they're also preparing for Republican backers to file a lawsuit to try to keep voters from weighing in. Organizers have been furiously gathering petition signatures over the past 9 weeks. They expect to have more than the roughly 86,000 signatures needed by Wednesday to ask voters to repeal the private school funding law. Tim Royers is a Support Our Schools organizer and Millard Public Schools teacher. He told the Associated Press petition organizers believe they would win any lawsuit brought by school choice backers to try to keep the measure off the ballot. 13 years ago, the University of Nebraska was kicked out of one of the most prestigious academic groups in the world. Now, can Nebraska's new president get them back in? One of the top priorities of the NU Board of Regents of late has been getting Nebraska back into the American Association of Universities. It's a cohort of over 70 universities tasked with maintaining high levels of academic research and education. Nebraska is the only university ever to be kicked out of the AAU by the other members. Nebraska's current president, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, says he's not sure if Nebraska can get back in, but he says the university has positioned itself well by combining its research efforts at both the Lincoln and UNMC campuses.
Bringing together the research expertise, the publications, the faculty awards, the overall student success, the if you will, the academic spectrum for both UNL and UNMC will make us look a lot different.
Dr. Gold sat down with News Channel Nebraska for an exclusive one-on-one interview to talk about where he sees the university system now and where he'd like it to go. You can catch part 3 of that interview on Wednesday at the times you see on your screen on News Channel Nebraska. Well, it's something businesses in Nebraska are trying to combat, so-called brain drain. Newly graduated college students leaving the state at overwhelming rates. Luke Stera has more.
Nebraska has the 3rd highest rate of graduates leaving the state. The Cornhusker State has lost over 3,000 graduates a year, meaning a net loss of 31,000 people over the last decade, according to the 2024 report by Nebraska's Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education. The so-called brain drain affects businesses across the state and has officials trying to find ways to incentivize talent to stay here.
We've found that by doing that, our retention's been a lot higher when these kids graduate college.
Love says it's about finding opportunities for the college students while they're in school.
You know, I think a lot of the times it comes down to the relationships. It might be a significant other, it might be family, lives in a different state.
Megan Eicher is a Northeast Community College and Wayne State College graduate.
People stay because of the relationships that they have and, taking over family businesses and the small town feel of Northeast Nebraska.
Staying near family is a priority for her, but she says there are some ways businesses can combat the brain drain.
I think that businesses need to give opportunities to kids to grow up, to move up in their positions.
To progress on this front, the researchers who worked on the 2024 report recommend supporting funding for the Nebraska Opportunity Grant Program, reducing college enrollment gaps among low-income high school graduates, and funding universities to maintain affordable tuition. Reporting for News Channel Nebraska, this is Luke Stera.
A city council in southeast Nebraska is reviewing its dangerous dog ordinance after an attack involving 7 Great Danes. Dan Swanson has the story.
A 36-year-old Falls City woman told the city council Monday about a dog attack, while her husband suggested what might have happened had she or a child been taken to the ground amidst 7 unsettled Great Danes. Megan Randall said she was traumatized by the June 12th attack and asked the city to place a dangerous dog classification on the animal. Megan said she and a FedEx driver were concerned after seeing a black Great Dane at large in the neighborhood, so they started up her brother's driveway together. Suddenly, she said, 5 other dogs blocked their path. A 7th dog, a tan Great Dane, came up from behind.
It gave no warning by barking or growling. The dog just leaped at me from behind and without warning attacked me and bit me on my upper arm.
After biting, she said the tan Great Dane began barking wildly and provoked the other dogs to begin barking too. The FedEx driver helped Randall retreat to her car.
Brandon gave me his phone and started walking back to his truck. Then 3 of the black Great Danes cornered him up against his FedEx truck. By waving and thrusting the package towards them, he was able to safely get into his truck.
She said the dogs were still loose when her parents arrived to transport her to the emergency room. A report was filed with Falls City Police, who verified that the dog owned by Presbyterian minister Richard Martin was current on its rabies shots.
I realize it must be difficult for one person to own, maintain, and control 7 Great Danes within our city limits.
Councilman Don Ferguson and Mayor Mark Harkendorf reacted to the need for reform of the city code.
And I totally agree with the fact that enough's enough with
whether it's got a rabies shot or not, it's still dangerous.
The City Council also discussed placing a limit on the number of animals a person can have. From Falls City, I'm Dan Swanson, News Channel Nebraska.
2 regulatory agencies are cracking down on illegal sales of copycat food products that contain Delta 8 THC. On Tuesday, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the Federal Trade Commission issued warnings to 5 companies that produce Delta 8 THC edibles. The substance is a psychoactive cannabinoid made from the same plant type as marijuana and hemp. Regulators say they're concerned about the product packaging because it looks very similar to popular foods like Fruit Loops cereal and Chips Ahoy cookies. The FDA says consumers could easily confuse these products for traditional foods, which could lead to accidental ingestion or overconsumption, particularly for children. That packaging's been the subject of ongoing suits by the Nebraska Attorney General's office targeting shops in Nebraska. And if you're looking for a staycation this summer, well, you don't have to look far. A Nebraska author has released a new book titled 100 Things to Do in the Nebraska Sandhills Before You Die. Casey Wannenberg shares some of the highlights.
Cities big and small are trying to brew up economic development, including through craft beers.
I like the vibe.
Chelsea Fuhr is hanging out at Bolo Beer Company in Valentine. One of the 100 places featured in this new book, 100 Things to Do in the Nebraska Sandhills Before You Die.
The environment is just kind of like what we're used to in Sioux Falls. Like we used to live in Sioux Falls, and so to have that different atmosphere than what you would find at a bar downtown or something.
In addition to Bolo,
thank you very much.
Author Ellen Bartels also featured more well-known tourist spots, such as Merritt Reservoir, the Valentine National Wildlife Refuge, and Smith Falls State Park.
Can't ignore the tallest waterfall in Nebraska.
But many pages showcase hidden gems, events, and festivals that even locals might not know about.
Use it as a guide, throw it in your car, and discover things that you may have been within a few miles of your whole life, but never knew about.
I wonder if they got any rocks.
Those include helping an at-risk turtle species cross the road, a pumpkin carving festival, and a duck race.
The Hungry Horse Saloon in Erickson, Nebraska is pretty famous, and to pull onto that street, it's like driving into 1890s Nebraska. Beautiful wide street, authentic old saloon.
Unique spots in the Sandhills that Fuhr says offer something for everyone.
You can go downtown and shop, or if you're into nature, we have lots of trails and different parks that you can visit as well.
A variety of activities that could have you vacationing close to home this summer.
Give a thumbs up.
Yeah, there you go. In Valentine, Casey Wannenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com and click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.